Howdy, I'm Jimmy. Thanks for joining me today by the fire. It's getting nice and toasty, nice and cozy. I'm breaking the habit of not looking forward to the winter. I don't know, it's been a thing ever since I moved up here to New Hampshire. I'm always like, oh no, the winter's coming, oh no. One of those things you got to embrace in life. So I'm excited about winter. I'm excited about all these fires going. And just to let you in on my personal life some, like the past week, I've just been gaming. This new video game, Arc Raiders, came out. And I'm just set up to where I can just take a vacation and disappear for a week. It's so nice. And I've been off in video game land, and I'm sure there's other gamers out there. Like, we're blown away by how much fun this new Arc Raiders game is. And it's just funny that my last video was on Anarchy and how I'm playing Arc Raiders, which is the Archon Raiders. And I don't know, if you're curious, you can look up that game. Tons of fun if you're into extraction shooters and adventures. But I figure time to snap back into this reality that we all share. Talk about the slaves of Saturn today. Or human pets. You could call them human pets. You know, there's a lot of different names. I like to have this big general saying for people that are slaves or that just don't have their own sovereign mind to think of new things and do new things. They kind of have to follow other people. I call them the lost. Because it's just, to me, that's the best way of putting it, because I don't necessarily know if they're real spirits that are tricked into being slaves, or if they are literally clones, homunculus, golems that were cloned out of a factory just to be slaves here. And I'm just, hey, this is an illusory realm where anything is possible. So those are my two big, when I think of why people are so lost, it's like they're either clones or they've just forgotten themselves, lost what they were originally, which in that case, I think we're anything and everything. And when you identify with the body only, and you identify with the physical and the flesh, and you forget you have a mind and a consciousness that can go backwards, forwards, everywhere at once. It's just, to me, the mind and the body and the whole flow, everything is connected at once. You can't separate any of it out. And it just proves to me how fake all this material stuff is. It's all just sensations that we create in the moment they happen. But I've tried to explain that so many different ways, is you got to figure that out on your own. Why is water wet? So these slaves of Saturn, can't really, I don't know where they came from, if they're real or not, but I have some theories I'd like to present, because we're in a very strange time. It's way, like, the people, and this is like, I'm being a generalist, everybody has their own specific life, their own specific path, but then there are people who follow others, okay? So I'm kind of just talking about those that have relied on other people to think for them, other people to discover reality and explain it to them. Okay, so I'm just talking about people who do not go out and test reality for themselves. People that watch a screen and then believe everything the screen has to say without verifying it. It's real simple. You can see this divide in humanity when you start to talk to people and they all say the same stuff and they have no evidence to back it up except the authority said it. Oh, he said it, they said it. The bad guy said this, so the good guy must be that. Like, they're caught in a drama, emotion way of thinking and not a hard, stable mind that can go out and figure stuff out and then build on that and stack it. I think you get what I'm saying. This group of the lost that I talk about, the group that's seeking a savior, seeking a king, seeking somebody else to figure it all out, seeking somebody else to save them. Well, my theory that I'm presenting is these slaves of Saturn, these human pets, this ain't the first time they've chosen to worship idols. Now this is taking the course that they're real souls like you and I. Everybody has a real soul here. We all have a real consciousness and a real choice to do whatever we want in eternity. So I'm theorizing that right now, so many souls have been captured by this idea that there's a God and that they didn't create anything and that they can't create and that they are somebody else's creation. You know, like all the stuff going on with you, like somebody else did. I can't, now that I've broken out of all that crazy authority training and conditioning, it's really hard to imagine thinking that something else is doing everything when your eyes are seeing it all, your voice is vibing with everything, your ears are hearing it. It seems like it would be you that is in charge of this whole reality. Because you're the filter, you're the thing absorbing everything. And then being able to project it out and know what it is or what it isn't. But the slaves of Saturn don't have senses. They think they're just physical flesh that somebody created. They don't have the deep inner knowing of things beyond the physical. And you could traumatize people into that. I mean, it seems like that's what goes on with childhood. Like they're trying to traumatize all these kids and manipulate them into being slaves of Saturn. And it makes me think of the school system. And I'm going to take a side route and talk about time. Because I'm mentioning, you know, how these people are lost and that this ain't the first lifetime that they've chosen to worship an idol, worship a man, believe in God, believe in something else outside of them. Okay, that's the core of this message, is anti-sovereignty is what these people are. Like, I'm a sovereign person. This is my body, this is my soul, this is my words, this is me. There's no foreign things playing games with it. And then, you know, you have all these other people who are waiting for a savior to come into them, waiting for somebody else to... And I just think that's like an eternal waiting game. They've got these people stuck in this, just keep waiting, keep waiting, keep waiting. And it never comes. They just keep getting dragged along. And one of the ways that you have to, if you want to control people, the way that this society is controlled through time, schedules, weekly, monthly bills, yearly taxation, yearly theft of all of humanity. You have to manipulate time, and you have to train the children to think of time, to make time real. So, and it kind of hit me when I was talking with my neighbor the other day about how that's really the core of school. Like, you're taught all this propaganda, you're taught all this terrible stuff, you're brainwashed, but you forget the fact that they're training you to a bell schedule and a time clock. You know, you're at school for like 8 hours a day, and they're just, because before you went to school, think about this. Think about your life before you had to sit there and stare at a clock and wait to be free. Time wasn't really a thing in your mind. You were just running around. It was this to that to, whoa, this is fun. Wow, look at this adventure. I remember time didn't matter until I went to school, and then I became a teenager, and then once you graduate, time is everything. You're young now, you have to go to college, and you have to hurry up and make a bunch of money, and that's what I did. That's what I was tricked into. It worked out, but I'm trying to get the point across of how much they have to sit a child down in a chair and make them look at a clock. We've all been there as children, staring at the clock. When am I free? So what it does is it traumatizes children and teaches them, you're under the control of time now, boys and girls. Like, that's a big part of school that is a subliminal back thing that people don't really talk about, is the time training. Just like Pavlov's dog with the bell. Ding! They ring the bell, and then the kids get up and move, right? They're training them to move based off of somebody else, not their own internal, creative, spontaneous processes. And then you see the kid that he's like, it's 5 minutes left on the clock, and he's like getting up, like, I gotta get out of here. You're in detention for acting out, so you have to realize what school is about. It's intense Saturn slave training. Intense. To get you to be a materialist, to get you to totally be absorbed by time and controlled by time schedules. That's a big part of this talk I wanted to get out. That people just, it passes them all by. Like, you're going to sit your child down and torture them with time. That's what school is mainly about. Wasting their time, but it's not only wasting the time, it's reifying the time. Making time and schedules and all that crap real. When it's another made-up construct, another made-up thing that we've done here. I didn't do it. I always talk about living in the moment. And if you're just sitting there watching clocks and controlled by time, you're not living in a moment. You're living in somebody else's reality. Just trying to say, we should really respect children and their time and teach them to be in the moment, not to be controlled by time schedules, because that, to me, that's what Saturn is. This Saturn cult uses time as a weapon. They use everything as a weapon against you. And it's just this idea of time, when I know we're eternal beings, this is eternal consciousness, this is a never-ending story. And if you can, it's like you have this wide, expansive, never-ending everything. But if you can chain these people into this tiny little tube of here's every week, here's every day, and they live in this tiny tube reality, David Icke calls it the postage stamp reality. It's just where you're just kind of surviving. There's no purpose to your life. There's no greatness. There's no adventure. You're just caught in watching somebody else's drama, and like not really living your life, because there's just something too sad about your life and your slave situation to where you just want to distract yourself constantly and not deal with it. I've just chosen to deal with things in the way I deal with them, and it's by being a loudmouth, trying to speak my point of view. But I just wanted to get a video out, kind of talk about this idea of, time, and how it's really the core of the slavery here. It seems like you have to train the children to time, instead of letting them just be free and go out and do what needs to be done, I'm getting to the point to where I could look up at the sun and, I know what time it is. I know sometimes my neighbors just come down and say hey to me. Sometimes I go up and surprise them and say hey. We don't have a schedule. We don't make a time on it. It all naturally happens. My neighbor came by the other day. He was like, hey, you want to come by and have some soup? I really think we would be better off without all these time schedules and focus on time. And everybody's got to raise up in the morning, right? Based on the time. And I almost forgot. Daylight slaving time, right? They just screwed with your time schedule. That's another power they have, is to interrupt everybody's sleep pattern. Every year, twice a year, these Saturn cultists say, all right, it's an hour this way, an hour that way. And what that does is it disrupts everybody's life rhythms. So they use time as such a weapon against you. They have control over all the calendars that they've made, all the payments and times you have to buck up and pay them. And let me tell you, they're planning on making everything higher and harder for you as time goes on, as they have in the past. I don't know how you can't look at the past and look at now and just still vote or think that there's anything about these systems of human control that aren't just total corruption. And it's just these people in a party living these god lives and people worshiping them like idols, while everybody else kind of suffers outside of the party system. It's really sick shit going on in humanity. And that's why I make these videos. I really enjoyed when I heard the darker side of things, which the dark is just the hidden, the occult, the things that are not obvious when they kind of are to be. I always felt relief when I found out one of these deep conspiracies, or that's why they manipulate people, that's why time is so important to everybody, and the Saturn slaves wear their watches and the time and the they can't just look up in the sky and figure the time out that way. It's like to make it so serious of a thing to where second by second, minute by minute, hour by hour, you must track and trace, like that's psychopath surveillance slave stuff. It was all built for slavery, this whole time schedule that everybody's on. It's so obvious. But the slaves of Saturn, I just really wonder if it's kind of like with Elon Musk rad and the brain chip, and if somehow they, it's more of a, you consciously agree to like give these people your mind, to give them your consciousness, you sign the contract, they brain chip you, and then when you die, it sucks your consciousness out into like a pokeball. It like sucks your consciousness out into a machine. And then you're in the machine and you think the machine is heaven, or you think the machine is hell, and they just manipulate you in this machine, and then they bring you back out into some homunculus suit to be another slave of Saturn. I just have this, maybe it's the way it is, because anything's possible. And they let them out of their pokeballs just to be props in the giant harvest, the next harvest of the next souls they want to control and take over. And it's really dark stuff. Nobody wants to talk about. I mean, and I hear people say nobody wants to know. There are plenty of people talking about what I'm talking about. It's just they're not popular. They're shadow banned, they're censored. People are too scared to talk about these things. I don't know. It's just words. You got to use your words like a sword here if you want to get anywhere. I always feel like I forget so much that I could talk about in these talks, but I think you get it. It's just this idea of this Saturn cult that I've talked about. How they use time, they use the material realm. A lot of magic spells, lots and lots to trick people out of the dream they could have. Get nice and toasty by this fire. Thanks for joining me on this talk. I love you.